Well, this is Lawrence D. Adams. This is when spirituality and the game combines. You have the thinking class. Whoa, what a crazy past couple of days on the Facebook streets. Shout out to everyone who's been listening, chiming in. I know how this works. Everybody's going to come in around a certain time, and then I'm going to be ready to go. But shout out to the thinking class. Shout out to everyone. This is when spirituality and the game combine. You have the thinking class. What amazing conversation that's been had on these YouTube and on these Facebook streets. I've been hearing both sides of the narrative as far as with this movie. I still haven't seen the movie, and I really don't plan on seeing the movie. And if I do, I probably will still have the same narrative. But I think there's a problem. I think there's a disconnect. Let me clear. I think there's a disconnect that really needs to be talked about with everyone, because everyone has an opinion and a thought, and you're saying this, he's saying that, she's saying this. And I think what happened is we need to really have a conversation. There's a major disconnect about what the women see and what the men see. Let me say that again. There's a major disconnect on what the women are seeing, what some women are seeing, and what some men are seeing. Strictly, let me say this, strictly from just the title. And I think what happened is we need to decode, we need to come across the aisles and shake hands and find out what really is going on, especially because I'm going to say that because I'm a man, in the mind of men, and what's going on in the mind of women, because apparently there's a disconnect in what we see and what we are interpreting and what we're interpreting. Let me say this first. Let me clear this up because I'm about to say it again. I know. Even though this is a fictional, historical movie that had some creative liberties given in it, and if you know the real history of the Dahomey tribe and how they were part of the slave trade, you understand that this is not an accurate or precise movie on what took place. So let's get that very clear. Let me say that again. If you study the history, if you looked, researched, and looked, you understand that this was not an accurate assessment of the movie. There was creative liberties that were thrown in to make it so the movie can be palatable for men and women to watch. So let me say that very clear, because everyone wants to throw around, well, the history, well, the history, well, the history, well, the history. You know the real history of the D homies, they were not our homies. Let me say that again. If you knew the real history of the D homie tribe, they were not our homies. They were actually in the business of slave trading. That means capturing people, so capturing other Africans so that they can sell them to the British for slavery. That was their business. So I want to make sure everyone is clear and on the same page when we talk about this. So no, there's no, well, you said this. No. We're going to keep right down the middle. So the history of this tribe was not something to be celebrated or something that so we need to revere and say, yes. This was what they done to humanity, and especially to Africans and those who came from that particular region and brought over to different countries as slaves, were inhumane. And sometimes they had so many slaves that they had captured that they would have them kill them, cut their jaws off while they're still alive, have them go around, the king would have them go around a tree of so the forgetfulness, so it's supposed to be a magical tree to make them forget what took place in this whole exchange. So this is not something to glorify. It is a very, it was very horrific what took place with the Dahomey tribe. And as I stated on Monday, 1860 was when one of the last people who was captured and was shipped over here and ended up dying in 1930. So let's get that out the way. So now that we're clear on that, everybody should be clear on that, because everybody they want to throw around history. Well, you know the history of this, you know the history with that, you know this took place in history. Everybody want to become a history teacher all of a sudden, and they want to give history lessons. I understand. Everybody want to be a history teacher. I understand. Everybody wants to be a history teacher, and they want to grab a hold onto our history. But that's not what I want to talk about today. The real issue that we really need to talk about, and let me say this other thing, the next point. The next issue is, I'm not going to talk about the whole thing of a monarch and the whole scenario around kings and queens. If you will see, the Queen of England has just passed away. Who's taken her place but her son, who is Prince Charles, who would now become King Charles. That is a monarch. So in that particular, shout out to Jono, in that particular ruling on how they do things, this is how it works. Queen Elizabeth's husband was never the king. She was always the queen. So let's get that clear. But we're not talking about that. So I want to make sure we get that clearly out of the way, because I think everybody is getting twisted up on, well, you know, and I know people want to bring up the history, what happened in Africa. There was a queen who became an empress or emperor. Everybody want to take hold of that. We ain't talking about that. So that all y'all people, these, you know, my resident historical scholars who want to give the, well, it happened in history and things like that, I understand. I get that in history, thanks to Jono, thanks to Deliska, other people who brought up some things. I understand that. We can debate all day about the historical side of this, but that ain't the issue. That ain't it. We can debate about it. Whether a woman can be king or not, we can debate about that. As was brought to my attention yesterday, every kingdom or every kingdom or empire had different rules and how they navigated men and women being in that position. Cool. I know what? I'm all for it. I understand. Gotcha. But that ain't the issue right here. The issue that we need to get, why it become a trigger on both sides, is because of this one thing. Now, I got people watching the clouds. You watching the clouds, you need to at least write a 1 in the comments, say something, say, hey, your mama, you say whatever. Let me know that you're there. But this is the thing that needs to be decoded. What's going on? What's going on? Shalom, family, most to the Most High, blessed to the Most High. Good to see you. But this is the thing I think we need to really get at. We can debate the historical side of this. We can. We can go and what's going on, Joe Black. We can debate the historical side of this. But this is the real thing. It's the interpretation, and I want to get this, of what's being interpreted by men and what's being interpreted by women. This is where the disconnect came. So we didn't cover the history. So anybody want to come to history? Someone want to bring up the Bible? Someone want to talk about the monarch? Someone want to talk about in Africa, the women were kings and all that? Okay, that's okay, good. That's all to validate what point? There is a disconnect between the black man and the black woman. This is where the division is. And until we reach across the aisles and say, okay, there's a disconnect. Much love, little bro. What's going on? What's going on, Ed? There's a disconnect there. What has happened is, and I'm going to say it, what has happened is we have used the word queen in our community and in different spaces so haphazardly, and we have named every woman that she's a queen. So now it's in the psyche of our people, whether we agree with the term or not. And sometimes that word is thrown around so much that it has say, hey, you accept me as a queen. That's what it is. So I think we need to really look at the disconnect here. Oh, it's the movie, but what is the interpretation right now? Not that the historical fact, because y'all can fight about the historical fact all you want. You can fight about who said what it is, but what is being interpreted by the men and the women? This is where the disconnect and what is being interpreted. So it's like we're speaking two languages in the same house. So there's a disconnect going on here. So while the men, let me say this, have been looking at the term womanking. We're not talking about historical side. I'm not talking about what happened in the past. I'm not talking about what happened in 1500. I'm not talking about what happened in 1400. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about present day right now. What does it equate to men? What does it equate to women? That's where the disconnect, this is where the disagreements come in. This is where the going back and forth going because of that disconnect. So when men have been thrusted in calling women queens, you are a black queen, you a queen, the queen. Now that they hear this term, what does it do inside of the psyche of men? Don't come over here talking about the history. You need to Google nothing. I'm not Googling anything. I'm talking about what is going right on with the conversation between men and women. I went and looked at my comments and what was going on. I realized there was a disconnect here. Most people don't, some women don't see what this title and what this movie, those who have seen it, some people, the men, some have seen it, say it's not that LDA. You need to go see the movie. I understand that. But you got to look at the psychological and the subliminal message that has sent to men. See, we don't talk about that. And the psychological and subliminal message that is sent to women. Let me emphasize again. Women have we have so-called women queens. She's a queen, but we need to adjust that. As my brother hit me on the DM in the back and say, hey, I think we did a disservice by calling our black women queens when they have not been qualified to be queens, nor have they been vetted to be queens. And we have given them a title that is not merit for some and for a lot of them. Just cut through the chase. Don't come up here, so we don't come here trying to change, and don't try to come in the comments and say, well, these men ain't kings either. I don't want to hear it. It's not that conversation. I'm talking about what's present here, right here. So I know people like to defer. Well, you know, the men ain't kings. They ain't kings either. They ain't get this stuff together. We're talking about what is interpreted by men when they hear queens. It's automatically a sore place for a lot of men because they have called some women queens, but they have turned out to be jokers. Instead of looking for the ace, it has been anything but that. The title alone is detrimental and straight false, right? So you got to understand, we don't talk about, we want to push our narrative with the historical side of it, but we're not talking about present day. What does it interpret to men and what does it interpret to women? Now, on the other side, women are looking at this and say, okay, woman king. What's the problem with that? And I understand what you're saying. A woman is doing her thing. She's being a warrior. If you see the movie, you know she was a warrior. She did what she had to do for the kingdom and things like that. What is that really doing? It's yeah. And I seen Viola. I should have played the Viola's Davis. Her reasoning for being a producer in the movies because it was to strengthen women that they can be warriors. This is what she said. LDA didn't say that. This is what she said. But we need to look at, as someone brought in my attention behind the scenes, we need to look at the spirit of what's behind even the title, even what's being interpreted and how it hits everyone differently. See, it's easy to point the finger that men should just be okay with the title because some men are okay with it. They have no problem with it. While others are they're grappling with it because now we didn't call you queens and now you want to be called woman king just from the title. Don't come with the history side. I already did the history side. I didn't cover that. But what signal does it send to the minds of men? Let alone we have dealt with women being queens. Now you want to take it another step and say, now you're a woman king. This has nothing to do, for all those who argue, with insecurity. Well, the men are just insecure. No, I didn't. No, I know it. I'm not talking about no history. I'm talking about what is in the minds of men. No, what you stated is incorrect. It's a title, and what the king gave her was a title because she was a general of many years. Okay, great. I'm not talking about that. We already covered the history. I appreciate that. I ain't talking about that. I said specifically what I am talking about is the present day interpretation to men and women. It should have been named woman warrior then. It's so deep, but it is all part of a agenda that's continuing the destruction of the family. That's where I want to get it. That's where I'm leading to. So great. Good. You know what? If I was incorrect, I can stand to be corrected because she was a general and she led the women and the warrior, and he gave her that title. Wonderful. Move on. What is it saying right now, present day 2022? What is it saying now? How is it interpreted to the men and how is it interpreted to the women? When you look at it, and anybody can debate it, I'm all great. And I'm going to put my saying up here. So anybody who wants to listen, who has something to say. Let me get my saying for all those right here. Let me pull it up. His saying right here, just for everybody. I only debate with my equals, and all others I teach. Just a little. So I want you to get this. We're not talking about the interpretation of what it's saying right now. That's at the heart of this. Why are some men upset, or some men are not upset with the title? I'm trying to give a synopsis of we've done the queen, and as I said, none of these queens here we keep calling queens are not part of a monarchy. They are not part of a lineage of queens. As much as we want to say that, because we can see in the actions. Don't come here talking about we're the men and kings. I don't want to hear that. We're talking strictly what's going on here. Now with the title Woman King, what do you think, women, those who want to respond on my page, we get to learn history and things like that. What does it really say to the men? Or is it all about you? Is it all about you and whatever, it's all about you? Have you taken the ear to step back and say, what's going on? What's going on, True Savage? Have you taken a step back and say, wait a minute. It sounds good. I'm all for the black girl magic and the power and things like that. But what is it saying to our men? Does this title, strictly the title, alienate men at any way? Does it make them want to be a part of it? What's going on, York, my bro? What's going on? Let me say that again. Does this title, okay, the movie, great. Does it alienate men and women? Does it say, men say, well, you know what, brother? I want a woman king. Does it say that, does that title make men say, you know what? I can't wait to get in bed with that woman king. Woo, she's something else. I'm gonna tear it up. Does it do that? Remember what you said, Denise. A queen title days, a woman, a female to me is a woman who is head of household, bingo, or a man's woman. But again, the title is just a title. And to me, as an artist title, because it's up to the viewer to make their opinion. My point exactly. If we were to dissect what you just said there, a woman who's head of household, not divorced. I guess it's part of the feminist agenda. I'm macking, I could care less. So I want you to get this. But you're saying it from your view. Have you ever looked at Denise from the man's side? When we are thrusted and said, you know what, you got to address me as queen. I'm a queen around here. Many times the title, as much as we try to dismiss, we're sort of dismissive, guess what? It's not dismissive, because a lot of women wear that as a badge of honor to say that I'm better than a man and you need to get in line, boy. Please don't come and say, I'm not talking about all women, but I'm saying that's the connotation. So think about it. Do you think men really want to deal with a woman king? This by straight from the title. Okay, we're going to the movie part. Okay, great. You can do all you want. That was strategic on how they did that, because they knew it would stir up what? The things inside of a man and inside of a lot of women. For a heterosexual man, he does not want to be, for his woman to be a woman king. Uh-oh. I know we're moving towards whole generation and things like that. Everybody got an opinion on that. I'm not talking about that. what is it saying even to the women who are taking the arms to say, you know what, we are women kings? And from Viola's words, it's about empowering women that they can do anything. I went through so much thing. I wish I could play the video because it would give justice to it. But I want you to really get this, because we got to decode this. And what is it really sending out to our women? She's the woman king. According to the movie, she was taken advantage of, because I can't say the word, great, and she had no sex. And she was not married. Do you understand the agenda that is going on? And Ed put it out there. The goal is to keep us divided on a simple title, shout out to Jono, so that we can back and forth about the historical side, whether it's true, whether it's not, whether a woman can do this or not, and not realize that the real survival is for us to get back to what's important, which is the family unit. True Savage says they can be queens all they want. I'm swiping left. Respect to you when you're down for your crown. I'm claiming to be a king or a queen out of false sense of entitlement, and it's unreal. Very true. But what the real agenda is, because we can fight, we can go back and forth, debate, you this and that. We can use homonyms and insults and signs. What signs? Shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. Bring in other people's opinions and things like that. At the end of the day, the real attack, in whether you agree with the movie or not, you've seen it or not, the real agenda here is to keep the men on one side and the women or another side, and never to come back together again. I'm saying that what man, heterosexual man, really wants a woman that is a woman king? Can somebody answer that? It does. It says to the men that we are no longer. Here we go. What time is it? It says to men that we are no longer needed. You can run with your own empire. Wow. See, if we don't have these conversations, everybody gonna come with the historical side. Very true. Let me say that again. It says to men that we no longer need it. I said a disposable. You're a problem. You can run your own narrative. You can run your own empire. You read what you said, Denise. Women king is just like a single mother. Would you have a problem saying that what you saying, I'm going to get in bed with a single woman? You're going way left. And from the past observation, men love same-sex women in a relationship and wouldn't mind getting in bed with both. The movie is positive, and the title is not the title is not the message. It's the sell pitch. Okay, but you're speaking from a woman side. This is the disconnect. This is where it needs to be code. What you said, I put it up there so nobody said LDA he's a misogynist. He hate women. He ain't let women say what they see. He said, you're speaking from a woman's side. Have you heard the man's side? This is where we need to talk about. Lies only hold power, not truth. When people choose to believe the lie. So we can talk about the historical side. At the height of the civil rights movement, black men and black women had the highest marriage percents in the United States and accepted gender roles. Then came the feminists. When here she was, a woman. Joe Bias. I'm not trailing down that road. Because that opens a whole other room, because everybody gonna try to prove that there was and there wasn't and things like that. And we missing what's being said. And I'm for you. If you check my Facebook page, you'll see it. No, go check your numbers. The Most High God had commanded women to submit to a man of God. The daughter of Zion are in rebellion. Uh-oh. Well, the Most High God commanded women to submit to a man of God. The daughters of Zion are rebellious. Uh-oh. Shout out to Lion of Judah. The Most High commanded women to submit to a man of God. The daughters of Zion are in rebellion. Shout out to you. Thank you for the super chat right there. I appreciate that. So we have an issue, right? Because we're not talking about how it is affecting us right now. We can go to civil rights, we can go to this, and we can debate that. But at the end of the day, the highest number of divorces filed are by women. That was a conversation I had yesterday. So apparently, what we're talking about is not working. At the end of the day, the goal is to divide the family. Is to keep men on one side and to keep women on another side. At the end of the day, this is the goal. So we are debating about this. We are protest. I don't care if you protest it or not. Women, the highest percentage of marriage in this. ManKing has something to do with the single mothers. Guys chose to leave the mothers, or the mothers left the father for a mirage of reasons, lack of being both sides. Divide and conquer is always the root. Thank you so much. I wish people would get this. Because what happened is we'll go down a rabbit hole with the history side. We're going to rabbit hole of the percentage. At the end of the day, we need to decode why some women are having issues with it and some don't. Some see the real agenda or the spirit behind it. And in the words of Viola Davis, she was thinking about something that happened to her when she was younger. So great. Cinematically, probably was an awesome movie. Story well written out. But at the end of the day, this was a marketing genius move to stir up controversy, to sell tickets. You got to call it what it is. ManKing is an appropriate title for both bad marketing, and controversy. Divide and conquer, having men emasculate themselves, and you don't have a raise a finger. Correct. So what happens is, because, and you need to hear this, because there's such a defense to defend the womanking and the title and the movie, that no one is saying, let me hear what men are thinking, or what is interpreted to them, or what they hear. Let me read my dude Courtney Mitchell, because he said something. I got to find his comment, because it was really, really good. And this my dude from up top. So everybody they're not looking at the big picture. They do not see the implication of that word. They do not even know the real story behind the movie. All they see is a powerful woman. When you realize that the young lady was probably responsible for the ancestors being brutalized, I would never see this movie. Not because they call her woman, because they call her king, but because she was who she was in real life. Men don't have a problem with women warriors. As you said, we have a problem with the current agenda and the divide of the family. The title of this movie is contentious, the continuous part of the agenda. This is the problem. This is the decoding that needs to happen in the community. Why we are so at odds. I'm not talking about the monarch. I'm not talking about the queen. I really don't even care about the title really at this point. I'm looking at now at the point of how it's divided us so badly that we can't even come together. But you know what? The agenda's already been put in place. The fix is already in. This was purposely done. So you got to look in the mind of men. Now they're thinking like, wait a minute. Y'all want us to call you queens. Now you want to be called womanking. Forget what the movie is about and look at just the title. Let me get this. Let me get people to get this, because when you say that, it's harder for them to disconnect. Forget what the movie's about. Straight title. Straight title. Don't tell me about the history. Don't tell me to Google. Don't tell me what this one said. And when this one said, you ain't did your research, you did the research. Don't tell me that. At the end of the day, the straight title. What does it really say to men? Some men don't care. Some men say, okay, this is what you want to do? Plain. But immediately men think, wow, you want to be called queen now, but you also want to be called woman king. What's the next step you're going to want to be called? See, we don't want to hear this side of it, and this needs to be decoded. And what is it really, and I'm repeating myself because I want people to get this, what is it really sending a signal to women? That I can be a woman king? That I really don't need men? Because that's the agenda right there. We don't really need men. Men are really disposable. We don't need that. I'm gonna put your comment up. I don't even call queens queen. It ain't the white people being divided in this. Right. Let me say this, if you never hear the other side of the aisle on what's being said and how it's interpreted, you're going to miss this. If you never have the conversation that this, on some levels, subconsciously, has sent another signal to men to vote with their feet and walk away, you missed this conversation. I understand the black girl magic. I know the black girl woman power. Women went through a lot of things. I understand the women's lib. Understand the women are getting paid less than men for doing the same job. Okay. But if you don't see the other side of this coin, you're going to miss it. This does not. I know people say, well, what about the other movies? Everybody gonna have something to say about the other movie. I'm strict title, strict what is interpreted and what is brought up here. It's to conquer and divide. In the words of Viola Davis, it's to empower the warrior inside of the women. Let me say that again. It was to empower, her words, Viola Davis' words, was to empower the what? The warrior inside of the women. Who are they fighting? Who are the modern women fighting? Can somebody put in the chat room while I sort of walk? Who are the modern women fighting? Who are the modern women fighting? Somebody tell me, if you empower them to be warriors, what are they fighting? Social justices? What are they fighting? Who are they fighting? What agenda are they fighting? Who are they fighting? And if we really be slick about it, if I want to be slick, what civilization has any woman built? but I mean, that's my little slap in there. Who are they really fighting? We empower women to be warriors. Who are they going to fight? Are they going to fight the system of oppression? Are they going to fight for them to get more pay? Are they going to fight the heinous crimes that are done towards them? Are they going to fight? Are they going to fight for men? Who are the, if women are empowered from this movie, who, and they're breaking the glass window. What's going on, Fair Soul? Good to see you. Blackjack, what's good? You're correct. It's more about saying, I don't need a man. Wait, didn't she say by not seeing the movie, we're not supporting our enemy? Uh-huh. I didn't say nothing. But who at the end of the day, if women get, who are they going to be fighting? I really want to know. Shout out to Lion of Judah. This dude, shout out to you, brother. I appreciate it. Let me read your super chat. Who are they going to be fighting? Modern women are the new man, and trans women are the new women, and they're all fighting the black man. That's a hard pill right there. The modern women are the new men, and the trans women are the new women, and they are all fighting the black man. Jesus. I got no problem empowering a warrior in a woman, but you can't empower the king in a woman because she's no king. Oh boy. Black men. It's not about that. You didn't answer the question. You can't say this is not about that if you don't answer the question. Who will they be fighting? The patriarch? Peace. Good to see you, Yahoo. What's going on? Who, since we want to empower, and I heard Judge Joe Brown go all the way ballistic on this topic. Oh my God. You think I'm a lightweight when it comes to Judge Joe Brown. What he said, she's Louise. What he went in, baby, it was ridiculous the way George Brown. But who will they be empowered to fight? Oh boy, now it's a shame. What army accept the enemy support other agenda? Lion of Judah, shout out to you. Uh-oh, here we go. Shame, guilt, and need. It sounds like you have a black. I don't have a. Come on now. You don't know me enough to know that y'all have a black woman complex. Nope, not here. You have not been in the thinking class long enough to say that, because I have empowered women on the screen and off the screen. I have to say this. I have a black mama, black grandmothers, black aunts, nieces. I gotta say this. Don't say that somebody had a back. That's a shame and tactic. I understand. But what will they? I know you didn't say me, but by putting out that, you're saying, who will they empower to do? If you look at statistically, if we empower the women, which is important. Women need to be empowered. Just go with that. What are they going to be empowered to do? Are they going to come back and say, you know what? Let me help my brother and my men, my father, my sons out? Statistically, that does not happen. Most of the programs, when some women get empowered, guess what happens? The men are the last, or even just a passing thought on the agenda of women, and particularly black women. How do you want to give a case study? Let's go to Stacey Abrams in Atlanta, Georgia. She knows she's got to go elected. Now she comes up magically with an agenda for black men. I got to get black men to vote. Got to get them out to vote for me, because I know they're not going to vote for me. We're disposable when used. So I am all for empowering Black women. Let's empower them. Let's get them going. Yes. But what are we empowering you to? To be our enemies or to be our allies? Or are we going to fight this thing together? Protected Black women, i.e., those that listen to the men that are supposed to protect them, understand the importance of men. Very true. What will be the agenda after we empower women? And for us to think, let me say this, that Black men have been empowered, it's a laughing stock because it's not the truth. As much as we think, what happens is, let me say this, because this is going to bring some clarity. We have lumped Black men and men together and white men together as one. So when the struggle comes when women say, hey, we got a problem with men, they're throwing in Black men and white men in the same pot when it's not the same pot. So when the fight comes, it's like, we got to fight against what the gender men ain't doing us right. It is not your brothers who are holding you back many times. It is the power struggle or the structure set in place that is stopping you. I heard a conversation yesterday that some women can climb the corporate ladder. She will only go but so far. Who's stopping her? Who's stopping her? Somebody please tell me who's stopping her. Who's stopping her? Somebody tell me, is it Black men stopping her? Is it Black men holding her back? Many times Black men and men in general think family while some women only think about themselves. What's going on, Jay? Any man that is pot licking for an agenda and leaves women unprotected has drunk the Kool-Aid, right? Thank you. Who? Many times, you want a case study? Let's look at Ice Cube. This all goes into what I'm saying because it's current. He had an agenda for Black America. What did the women on Fox Soul say? Where's your agenda for the Black woman? Wait a minute. He said, aren't we all together? Are we all together? Most likely it's the white woman holding back Black women. Okay. Aren't we all together? So a lot of men in the corporate world, correct. You're very right. I've seen it in the corporate world. And Black and white women and white men. So this is no indictment to those who are of another race. This is what it is. We're just talking. But I want you to get the importance of what I'm saying. When Ice Cube asked Fox Soul, came in there and he had an agenda for Black people, that included Black women, the Black women say, hey, what about us? You didn't include us as an exclusive group outside of the Black community. That lets you know how deep this goes. So now when we circle around with this title of the movie, what do you think are in the minds of men? Oh, they insecure. They can't get their stuff together. No, sister. Sit back and listen and hear. It's not that. I've said it before and said it Monday. You think Black men don't love Black women. That is far from the truth. We actually do. We actually care about you. We want the best for you. We want children from you. But what we do not, we are careful now because a lot of men are waking up. We don't want children. We want the Black woman, but we want something else. We got to look at the mind of the Black woman because her mind will determine what's in my child's behind. Black women think of self first, which is affect their ability to lead. Let me say that again. So while we're looking at the decoding what's going on right now, why this has been a problem. Men are saying, hey, wait a minute. Okay, I love black women. Y'all beautiful, curvy. Y'all got the grace. Y'all can know how to do this. Everybody wants to be like that. Okay, great. But I need to look at your mind, because if I procreate with you and have a child, you will pass on that mindset to that child, which is an issue. I lost so much respect for those women. You saw the frustration on Cube's face. By the way, Cube is with his high school sweetie. And yes, he is. Where are those women? So this is no indictment against the black women. So I want y'all to, well, he's trying to go against black women. He hate them. No. Many times somebody said this, we don't take time to listen. Tom Brady thought about his team, others, unretiring. Why does Gazelle wants to go back to work? I want you to get this. Until you hear the other side, and I got to get ready to go, until you hear the other side of this conversation, and this is just a drop in the bucket. Shout out to the super chats. Appreciate that, brother. I am not talking about the historical. Shout out American Brazilian. Shout out to you, brother. So this, like I said, is my brother. I appreciate him. But I want you to get this. It's not that we don't love black women, that we don't care about you. But what we ain't going for no more, which is I think it's come to the rubber to meet the road. We're not dealing with that mindset, that divisiveness. We're not dealing with where you have put your agenda above the family agenda. Black Lives Matter. Cough, cough. Black Lives Matter. The destruction of the traditional family. Men are not happening anymore. So while we look at the title, The Woman King, it looks marketing. It did what it did. The movie may not even be about that. Great, wonderful. But at the end of the day, what is the signal it's sending to women? What is it empowering women to do? Is it empowering them to be mothers with a husband? The nuclear family. What is it going to empower women to do? What is the storyline? I know enough of the movie. I got enough spoilers to know what the movie's pretty much about. What is it going to signal to women? What now? This is the other side. What is it signaling to men? What is it signaling to men? I understand everybody that went through drama, things like that, things in this. What is it really signaling to men? Is it really about the nuclear family? Is it empowering? Will this empower men to come together with women? What is the real agenda here? Shout out to Viola Davis, wonderful actor. She did it. She got a movie produced. I am not condemning her, nor am I putting her down, and nor am I being sarcastic. I sincerely condone. Wonderful. But what's going to happen? And I'll give a good example, and you telling warriors to prepare themselves, right? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Fast forward or rewind. Somebody say Ukraine. 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 Ukraine was a prime example of what happens when you have pseudo this is when pseudo warriors and being strong hit the real road when the men had to stay and fight and the women had to go to other countries. This is reality. That is the reality right there. It's when in Ukraine, when they're fighting Russia, the men had to stay. You see the men crying, the women crying. The women and the children left, and the men had to stay and fight. Where were the women warriors then? So who are we really fighting? What were you becoming a warrior for? What are you empowered to do? I understand the women's rights, black women's rights. But does your rights have anything to do with empowering first your man and your family and your children? Let me say that again. Does empowering you, because you're in the place of empowerment, because they prefer to empower black women and women, you being in that position of power, what do we now have something that we need to say? What are you going to do with this empowerment? How are you going to be responsible with it? Many men are not going to sit back and wait because they have felt the lashes, and that's the word I'm saying. The lashes of more than 20 years of empowering women at the cost of men. Don't give me the exceptions to the rule. With all men ain't together. I understand that because all women ain't like this. I understand. We ain't talking about all. This is internet, so we're talking in general. So don't give me your example of what happened to you and what Billy Bob did to you and what did to you, Suzy Q. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about in the broad sense. What happens when you become empowered? What are you going to empower your daughters in? What are you going to empower your sons in? How are you going to be there for your husband because you're in this place of power? You're empowered. That's the question we really need to ask. Let me read what American Brazilian wrote, and I believe the writers are two white. Yes, they are two white women with feminist agendas, more of the same, divide and conquer. You're exactly right. They did that because they did that as, in her words, she did it because she said, I wanted to write a movie because I wanted a version of Braveheart, but for women. So why not use not white women and white men, but let's use black women and black men. I hope you see the real thing that is present, not the history. The homie was brutal. Because everybody want to talk about the history. Ooh, there was kings back there. We could go back and we can go Crips and Bloods on that. No. Right now, you empowered to do what? Not all men got together. That's true. Not all women, no woman is a king. Right. We're empowered to do. What are you empowered to do? When is the legislations that you're going to put in place for not just women, but for men? And not just talk, but actually real legislations that are going to affect the minds and the souls and help men out. The homeless men. Feminists say black women are means to an end. Indispensable. Wait till y'all see Wakanda Forever. You think this is something, Wakanda Forever is going to really say it. It's the setup. This is the setup for Wakanda Forever. What is going to be the agenda when what is going to be the real agenda? Shout out to the women. Let me say this, who understand what I'm saying and understand this is no slight. This is no put down. This is no ad hominems. This is no insult. None of that. Who understand what's really going on. Shout out to those women.
Execute Order 66.
They understand execute Order 66. They understand it. Shout out to those women. Let's celebrate them who get it. Who gets what I'm saying. Shout out to those women who understand that this is an agenda to divide you from your man, who is your protector. So who is your protector? And to keep you in a place, and let me say this, and I gotta go. Don't you think, and I'm gonna give you some game on this, don't you think the real game is this? Is to get women so riled up and so emotionally driven by this, by the history, no history, whatever the case may be, by this movie, have some scenes in there where it's tear jerking and it's and things that stir up emotions inside of you to push the agenda. Oh, I know some people say there ain't no agenda in the movie. Remember, I didn't see the movie, right? But don't you just think about this? They will use your natural imperative to be emotional against you so that you can turn on your man. Oh, it ain't like that, ODA. It ain't like that. No, it ain't like that. They will use women's emotions and things that are placed inside of the movie to stir up trauma, situations that may be unresolved in the woman with inside of the movie, to move her along to an agenda that does not serve her family and really doesn't serve her man. I know you say, well, you're being extreme, LDA. You don't understand what women went through. I didn't know some situations I can't even talk about. So don't come with me that I don't understand women. But at the same token, don't come over here and say something if you do not understand the men. So what you do is you stir up the women's emotions so to a point with tears and things that have happened to the lead, Viola Davis, inside of the movie, to push a narrative that keep us divided. If you don't see this as a divide and conquer situation, shout out to the movie. I'm not even saying boycott it, because if you boycott it, the more sales it's going to get. Don't boycott it. You ain't got to say hashtag boycott womanking. Don't do that. I'm even advised don't do it. You boycott by not watching if you choose not to. You can't say that, oh, you didn't even see it. Right, I didn't see it. And I'm the first one to say it. They're willingly give up their natural protection to the government. Oh boy, that's a whole nother thing. The rabbit hole goes deep, right? It goes deep, man. Bruh, it goes deep. So I stir up the emotions of the women. Stir up trauma, stir up debate, stir up you ain't right, you ain't doing this. Why? For the whole purpose to pull you away from what? The protection of your true leadership. True leadership. I ain't talking about the abusive husband. I ain't talking about the man who ain't providing. I ain't talking about the man that ain't a leader, because everybody want to get those excuses first. True leadership. That's what it's all about. Some people either stupid as hell or trying to run a con. Sometimes a movie ain't just a movie. My point, it's never just a movie. Social engineering, it's everywhere. You stir up the women's emotions with a good plot and a good story. Get some good camera shots, things like that. Wonderful. But when you empower these women, as Viola Davis said, you empower them to do what? Someone please tell me. This is Lawrence D. Adams. Friday. Don't allow the agenda. Women, we love you so much. We don't want you to fail. Yahoo, you right. Black men has never had power. Oh, see, why are you trying to start? I'm trying to go home. Black men have never had power in America. That's the last time we had power was in Judah. Boy, I'm trying to explain that this being about Disney and Jimmy. Family, stand down. The movie is awesome. Sorry, you're not talking about the movie. You hearing the end of what I said. Nope. I'm standing up. Now stand down. I feel you, Cashmere. That's my dog. Nope.